A guy walks into a shop. The bell above the door rings. He looks around and says, "Never mind, I'll just go back out." So he does. And as he leaves, the bell rings again. He walks in again. This time he grabs a can of air freshener and quickly makes his way to the counter. "Can I help you?" asks the shop assistant. "Yes," he says, "I need something strong. Something to kill the goldfish." Yes, stammers the assistant. Of course. He points toward the gardening section. It's all over there. The man grabs the can from his hands and, without paying, rushes off again. The bell rings as he leaves and the assistant lets out a sigh of relief. Just then, a woman enters and sees the assistant looking flustered. "What happened?" she asks. "Oh, nothing," he says, shaking his head. "Just a weirdo who came in here earlier asking for something to kill the goldfish. Said he had to hurry. He was already late." She nods, understanding. "Ah, yes, men," she says with a smile before wandering off. Our man is sitting at home on the sofa watching TV when the phone rings. He reaches over to answer it, but it keeps ringing and ringing. Suddenly, he starts to panic. He jumps up and runs to the bathroom, flushes the toilet, and returns to the phone just in the nick of time to answer it. "Hello," he says breathlessly. "Yeah," says a familiar voice on the other end. "Was I keeping you on the line?" He hangs up and collapses back onto the sofa. He gets a knock at the door and opens it to find a friendly neighbor. "Hi there," says the neighbor. "Just wanted to let you know that your fly is undone." He quickly closes the door, mumbling thanks, then rushes to the bathroom to check himself. Thankfully, he's still okay, but his heart is racing. He looks down between his legs and sighs in relief. He could really use a drink, he thinks, but where would he get the money? It's Sunday and all the shops are closed. Then he remembers. He goes to his liquor cabinet and pours himself a stiff one. Meanwhile, downstairs, his neighbor has pressed the doorbell again. "She's just letting herself in now. Thought I'd come over for a friendly chat," she says cheerfully. "Don't mind me. Just making myself at home." She sits down next to him on the couch. "So, what are you drinking?" he asks. "Oh, this. It's just some leftover cough medicine," she says with a wink before taking another swig. He's driving along when suddenly a police car pulls him over. He slows to a stop and winds down his window. "License and registration, please," says the officer. He rummages around for them, but they're not in his wallet. I don't have them," he says sheepishly. "Sorry, officer." Well, this is gonna be a problem," the officer replies, scribbling away on his notepad. He looks back at our driver, who is sweating profusely. "Have you been drinking?" No, sir," he says. "I swear." Good. The officer takes his license back. "Then I'm gonna need you to step out of the car." He does as he has told and stands there with his arms stretched out while the officer searches the vehicle. After a while, the officer is back in his car and our driver is starting to relax. Suddenly, the officer speaks again. "You know why I pulled you over?" he asks. No, why did I?" "Well, the reason I pulled you over," the officer says with a smile, "is because you were swerving all over the road like a drunkard." "Oh," he says, embarrassed. "I wasn't drinking. I just had to pee badly." "Really?" "Yeah," he says, holding his bladder, and it's true. "I couldn't make it to a gas station in time." "I see," the officer says, handing him back his license. "Well, try to be more careful in the future." "Okay, you can go." He watches as the man drives off, shaking his head. What an odd one, he thinks. That evening, he's having dinner with his wife when the phone rings. "It's probably just one of those telemarketers," she says, reaching for the phone. "Yeah, sure," he says distractedly, continuing to eat. The phone keeps ringing and ringing. And just as he's about to relax again, she picks up the receiver and shouts, "Who's calling?" I've told you before, I don't want any donations. She listens for a moment and her face falls. What? Is everything all right? He asks. She shakes her head slowly. It's your mother, she says sadly. She passed away. He feels shocked. Oh, I didn't know she was sick, he says, getting up. I should go see her. No, you stay here, she says. You haven't eaten enough. Besides, I think it's best if I handle it. He doesn't argue. He knows better than to do that. He sits back down and eats the rest of his meal in silence. After a while, his wife returns from the phone call. We should leave, she says quietly. I already told her funeral home to keep it simple. We don't have much time. Time? He asks, confused. Yes, her funeral will be held tomorrow morning, she explains. But we should go now so we can make it in time. He feels dread creep over him. He wants to say no, but he knows he can't. He's never been able to say no to his wife, not once. The two arrive at the funeral home to find a young woman waiting for them. Mrs. So and so, I presume, she asks. They both nod. I'm the director, she says. And I'd like to begin by extending my deepest condolences. Thank you, says his wife. Now, I've arranged for a hearse to take the body to the cemetery. You both may ride along with the hearse driver, or we can arrange for you to travel separately. His eyes pop wide. What? Why are you giving us options? Oh, sorry, she says, realizing. I assumed you wouldn't want to ride together. Given your, situation, of course, she winks. They both blush. They arrive at the cemetery to find a small crowd waiting. There are his mother's coffin and an open grave. I'm so glad you could make it, says a family member, embracing them both. We thought you weren't coming, whispers his wife, annoyed. Why would I not come? He asks back because, she says, leaning close, you never liked her anyway. Remember how you used to beg me to get rid of her? I don't remember doing that, he says, feigning ignorance. Anyway, what's done is done. Now let's just pay our respects to the dearly departed. After the funeral, everyone is gathered around the grave. A priest begins reading a prayer. Dear Lord, we pray that you bless this woman and welcome her into eternal rest, he says. Everyone bows their heads in prayer. Suddenly, our man feels something wet trickle down his leg. Startled, he looks down to see a small stain forming. He quickly glances around for somewhere to escape to, but there isn't anywhere to go. He looks up at the priest, who is now staring at him intently. Are you all right? The priest asks. Oh, yes, I'm fine, he stammers. It's just a little. Oh, bird dropping landed on me. Yes, that's it. The priest looks unconvinced, but says nothing. He continues with the ceremony, and soon they are all throwing dirt into the grave. Here lies the body of so and so, the priest says, gesturing toward the mound. May she rest in peace. Everyone says amen.